I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Norwegian Nobel Committee for elevating us to the status of a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate my compatriot and fellow laureate, State President F.W. de Klerk. He had the courage to admit that a terrible wrong had been done to our country and people through the imposition of the system of apartheid.
Em dezembro de 1993, num salão da Câmara Municipal de Oslo, presta-se homenagem a Nelson Mandela, o herói da luta anti-apartheid, e a Frederick de Klerk, o último presidente branco da África do Sul.
5 years ago, people would have seriously questioned the sanity of anyone who would have predicted that Mr. Mandela and I would be joint recipients of the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize. And yet, both of us are here before you today.
Por trás dos discursos de cortesia, os dois dirigentes têm os punhais afiados e a tensão no seu país está no auge.
We are political opponents. We disagree strongly on key issues and we will soon fight a strenuous election campaign against one another. And in my own country, notwithstanding the tremendous progress which we have made, more than 3,000 people have died in political violence since the beginning of this year.
Mandela e de Klerk, parceiros e rivais. Duas personagens opostas em todos os aspectos, envolvidas em negociações constantes, marcadas por massacres, subterfúgios e enganos. Um duelo político e pessoal que ainda assim se empenhou em pôr fim ao regime racista mais desprezado do planeta. Robben Island, 7 km ao largo da cidade do Cabo. Nelson Mandela esteve aqui detido durante 18 anos. Criado numa aldeia no leste da África do Sul, fundou a primeira firma de advogados negros do país. Horrorizado pelo tratamento dado aos negros e às pessoas de cor, criou o braço armado do ANC, o Congresso Nacional Africano, para lutar contra o regime de apartheid aplicado no fim da década de 40.
There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
Em 1962, com 46 anos, Mandela foi preso. 2 anos depois, ele e os outros acusados foram condenados à prisão perpétua por sabotagem e conspiração. Durante o seu encarceramento, a agitação social cresceu e intensificou-se entre a comunidade negra, que representava quase 3/4 da população. O Estado reagiu com uma enorme dureza. Nos anos 80, o país esteve sujeito à liderança de punho de ferro de Pieter Botha, dirigente do Partido Nacional. Considerado a linha dura, ele tinha ainda assim consciência de que uma mudança profunda era inevitável. Entre os seus ministros mais influentes estava Frederick William de Klerk, um africano ambicioso que entrou na política em 1971. FW, como todos lhe chamavam, vinha de uma influente família conservadora.
One must remember that his father had been a very senior National Party politician. He'd been president of the Senate. His uncle had been prime minister. So he was deeply involved in the whole growth and development of the National Party.
Mr. de Klerk was perceived to be on the conservative side, that he was protecting white group rights, as it was called. But I think to his credit, one must always say that he was never in favor of a security solution for the country. Never.
In 71, I still embraced the concept of separateness, which I believed idealistically could bring justice. In the early 80s, I came to the conclusion, and not only me, many of my colleagues around me, that the concept of separateness is just institutionalizing injustice, that it was wrong, and that we had to abandon the concept of apartheid, of separateness.
No início dos anos 80, Nelson Mandela regressou ao continente. Após 2 décadas de detenção, foi transferido para a prisão de Pollsmoor e depois, em 1988, para aposentos mais confortáveis na prisão Victor Verster, a cerca de 100 km da cidade do Cabo. É que Mandela não era apenas mais um prisioneiro. Convencido de que a negociação podia levar ao fim do apartheid, tinha iniciado reuniões secretas com representantes do governo, nomeadamente Colby Coetzee, ministro da Justiça, e Neil Barnard, chefe dos serviços secretos.
At that time, Mandela was the pivot of power within the ANC. And Mr. Mandela very clearly indicated to a former minister of us, Cobie Coetzee, that he would be interested in trying to find a negotiated settlement. And so P.W. Botha identified a team, of which I was the head at the time, to start in total secrecy negotiations with Mandela, which in fact started in May 1988 until his release.
They met something like 50 times or 48 times every week for hours on end. And Neil Barnard is almost the archetype of an Afrikaner nationalist. Mandela used that to get to know the minds of the Afrikaners, the minds of the National Party. And by the time he came out, he knew more or less what they were thinking, what was possible, what wasn't possible. He knew more or less how to treat them.
Tanto no país como no estrangeiro, os apelos à libertação de Mandela tornaram-se mais ruidosos e demonstrativos. O seu partido, o ANC, representava-o como símbolo da luta anti-apartheid. No início de 1989, o presidente Botha sofreu um acidente vascular cerebral. Pouco depois de uma reunião secreta com Mandela, foi obrigado a demitir-se da liderança do partido e, mais tarde, da presidência. Em agosto, o seu antigo ministro Frederick de Klerk, de 53 anos, substituiu na liderança do país. A sua prioridade? Desatar o nó que paralisava a África do Sul. A 13 de dezembro de 1989, Mandela saiu da prisão Victor Verster por algumas horas. No maior secretismo, foi levado para o centro da cidade do Cabo, até ao Twinius, o gabinete do presidente. Pela primeira vez, o dirigente negro e o presidente branco encontraram-se cara a cara.
I did not have high expectations of a first meeting with Mr. Mandela, and when I did have my first meeting, I did not try to achieve much. For both him and me, that first meeting was to get an understanding of each other, to get a feel for the person sitting across the table.
To start with, Mandela was much taller than he expected. And he was also very impressed by Mr. Mandela's aristocratic bearing, because we must remember that Mandela was actually raised to be the prime minister of the paramount chief of the Tembus. So he had a natural sense of authority, very dignified, very charming.
After that first meeting, there was the feeling that, yes, we can do business with each other. So I did expect that he would be positive about the concept of negotiation. But we both avoided talking about the real challenges and the real issues. At that time, it was a sizing up process.
And so that was the beginning of a long and sometimes very, very rocky relationship.
A 2 de fevereiro de 1990, os olhos de 37 milhões de sul-africanos viraram-se para a cidade do Cabo, para a abertura do Parlamento. Frederick de Klerk estava prestes a fazer o seu primeiro discurso de política geral. Muitos esperavam que ele fizesse enverdar o país por uma direção totalmente nova.
It is time for us to break out of the cycle of violence and to break through to peace and reconciliation. The steps that have been decided are the following: the prohibition of the African National Congress, the Pan-Africanist Congress, the South African Communist Party, and a number of subsidiary organizations is being rescinded. People serving prison sentences merely because they were members of one of these organizations will be identified and released.
I think de Klerk, when he took over as president in 1989, was faced with a choice. He knew that the country's economy was in really deep trouble. He knew we were almost facing a civil war inside the country. And here, suddenly, the thing landed on his lap. Was he going to do more apartheid, more repression, more police, more military, and destroy the economy, get into a civil war? Or was he going to be the historical figure that ended it all? And I think the Berlin Wall helped him a lot, because it was a strong argument to use to say, we had to fight against the ANC because they were communists, but now communism is dead, so now we can talk to them, which made the message easier to accept by the white people.
However, what is very crucial to make the point that this change, de Klerk's speech, was not simply the result of Afrikaner nationalism, of his party, and of de Klerk suddenly becoming good guys, and through their good heart deciding there must be a change. It was the pressure from the struggle. And one could sense that from America to Western Europe, there would be pressure on the apartheid regime.
I wish to put it plainly that the government has taken a firm decision to release Mr. Mandela unconditionally. I am serious about bringing this matter to finality without delay.
The speech I made on the 2nd of February 1990 contained a package of measures, of which the release not only of Nelson Mandela, but also of all political prisoners, was just a part. I lifted the state of emergency. I tried in that speech to address each and every excuse the ANC could offer not to come to the negotiation table.
We knew also that the moment that Nelson Mandela was released, all of the cameras would turn to him, and nobody would cover anything that de Klerk said. So it was very important to make the announcement of Mandela's release, but to hold it back for a week before we actually released him. And during that period, we were the only communicators in town, and they had all of the TV cameras they needed to use.
Como e quando libertar o famoso Mandela? Foi este o motivo do segundo confronto entre os dois homens, uma semana mais tarde, no gabinete do presidente.
I announced to him that he would be released on the 11th of February. And his first reaction was, it's too soon. And I said, why is it too soon? He said, we need more time to prepare.
From the point of view of President Mandela, it was important that he is able to get proper liaison with, for instance, the external mission, how, and to prepare how to manage that moment As I say, if you just explode a thing like that on people, it can cause serious repercussions.
He insisted that this process cannot work without me. I am the key to this thing. So when you want to release me, you release me at a time that suits me and my family, because I have to manage the ANC. And it was one of de Klerk's things of, well, you are my prisoner, you will do as I say.
And I said to him, Mr. Mandela, you and I will negotiate about many things. But you've been in jail long enough, you will be released on the 11th of February. Let us discuss what time of the day and from where you will be released.
A 11 de fevereiro de 1990, às 17 horas, havia grande excitação na prisão Victor Verster. Todos esperavam havia várias horas para ver Nelson Mandela sair, libertado, de braço dado com Winnie, a sua mulher. Após 27 anos na prisão, um homem livre de 71 anos voltava para a sua casa, no Soweto, determinado em conquistar a liberdade para o seu povo. Depois de 4 décadas de conflito, os adversários tiveram um encontro de 3 dias no Gruta Shore, um edifício oficial na cidade do Cabo. No mês de maio de 1990, o carcereiro e o seu antigo prisioneiro caminharam lado a lado. Apresentaram uma imagem de cordialidade.
There are bound to be difficulties, but there is cautious optimism as well as faith and conviction that our problems will be solved by negotiation. And I trust that these discussions will be another milestone on the road to a new and just South Africa.
I think it was overwhelmingly friendly. It was like people who came together for the first time, who didn't know each other, but who wanted to meet each other. That was a wonderful experience, and it was about the fact that we suddenly realized on both sides that we had to work out jointly and collectively a way forward, and that responsibility rests on us. Nobody else could take that responsibility.
You can imagine now, with the background of the participants, two sides that have been fighting each other vehemently, suddenly meet. Of course, there's a measure of mistrust. We didn't know how communistic, for instance, were they. We didn't know. But the point is, we had to agree there's only one way to discover, that is to meet.
The discussions took place in a friendly atmosphere. There was opportunity for straightforward discussions. We talked straight.
The striking feature of the discussions which we have had during the last 3 days has been their cordiality. We have had discussions on sensitive matters in a spirit of conciliation and understanding.
Apesar da assinatura do acordo de paz, 4 meses depois a relação entre de Klerk e Mandela foi manchada pela violência. Durante vários meses, conflitos violentos e muitas vezes mortais tinham eclodido em várias regiões da África do Sul, especialmente em KwaZulu. Confrontos entre apoiantes do ANC, liderados pela etnia Xhosa, e apoiantes do IFP, Partido da Liberdade Inkatha, constituído por Zulus, a etnia maioritária no país e liderado por Mangosuthu Buthelezi.
We will not allow the ANC to silence the voices of our people, to threaten the leaders and people of KwaZulu can only trigger the beginning of a real war in this country.
More people got killed in South Africa between 1989 and 1994 than were killed by apartheid forces in the entire history of apartheid. There was a natural competition between the IFP and the ANC UDF, but it was aided and abetted by the former military and police. People called it the third force, like the two big black groupings fighting and a third force egging them on and fomenting more violence.
Leading police chiefs and intelligence chiefs, including military intelligence, were working with elements of the Buthelezi party. And this, of course, was how Mandela came to use that label and to accuse de Klerk of this deception.
The National Party has got a double agenda for the negotiations process. On the one hand, they talk about reform and change. On the other, they still want to hold on to economic and political power.
He said, you see, you don't care about the lives of blacks. That's why you allow that situation to develop, and this is why these things have happened. Even after we had given you our commitment, even when we have been working very hard to discipline our people, you behaved in this way because you don't care about black life.
I think the accusation that I didn't do enough was unfair and it was not based in fact. From the moment that I started to have a suspicion, and also in conjunction with all the allegations they were making, I appointed two judicial commissions of inquiry. The one commission of inquiry came up and opened up a can of worms to show that, yes, there were elements in the security forces, against my orders, against the policy I've laid down, who continued with politically disruptive underground activities. That resulted in the dismissal or early retirement of a big number of very senior officers.
De Klerk had the difficulty. He had to walk a tightrope. He couldn't just walk into the military camp and say, well, go give up your arms, the ANC is taking over. He had to move very carefully with the police and with the military. And he did it slowly. And Nelson Mandela has indicated that he understood that. So there was a game that Mandela would put pressure on him to disband and to end this third force violence, and that de Klerk would defend. But in the process, they would make progress, but their constituencies would be happy with what their leaders have been saying. You don't only try and screw the other guy. You know if he gets screwed too much, he will fall out and you will look for a new partner to negotiate with.
Enquanto os dois dirigentes trocavam acusações sobre as causas da violência, as conversações continuavam e organizou-se rapidamente uma conferência, a CODESA, Convenção para uma África do Sul Democrática, para discutir as futuras instituições do país. Participaram 300 delegados. O ANC e os seus aliados exigiram um sistema de maioria eleitoral, onde os negros seriam predominantes no governo. De Klerk e o seu partido queriam várias medidas para proteger a minoria branca. Mas logo no primeiro dia, 20 de dezembro de 1991, as conversações quase ruíram quando de Klerk usou da palavra.
There is only one party sitting in this room with a private army and with arms caches, illegal arms caches, admitting to it. All the other parties do not have a dualism, because one cannot be totally committed to peaceful solutions if your major speakers constantly, until 2 weeks ago, from certain platforms with arms caches, make an appeal for the struggle to continue and adhere to the concept of armed action.
I spoke last and I made a strong attack on the ANC. What went wrong is I sent a warning to President Mandela that I would be making those statements. The message, I believe, did not get to him.
So Nelson Mandela sat there and watched de Klerk attack him in this way. And I've never before or since seen Mandela so angry.
And the result was then that Mandela took the stage again. So he came back to the microphone and started to make an attack on Mr. de Klerk.
I am gravely concerned about the behavior of Mr. de Klerk. He has been less than frank. Even the head of an illegitimate, discredited minority regime as his has certain moral standards to uphold. Very few people would like her to deal with such a man.
When he responded to de Klerk was the closest we came to not having a negotiated solution. I also think what he said there is what Mandela really thought about de Klerk. He never said it publicly because he knew the kind of man he is. He knew he had to say, I accept his bona fides. He's a man of integrity. Otherwise, his followers wouldn't do it. But there he was, and he was provoked, and he was angry because he wasn't warned. And that was a scary moment. And I think that told me everything I wanted to know about the relationship between de Klerk and Mandela. It was a terrible one.
He was not only a sugar daddy, he was fighting for the rights of his people and what he believed in. And what should one expect more of any man? He could have been very rude and very brutal if needs be.
And all of this left a mark. It left a scar. Like I said, on their personal relationship, but also on the process. And it caused some damage, unavoidably so.
As negociações durariam meses. Sob a pressão dos extremistas brancos, de Klerk convocou um referendo em março de 1992, perguntando a quase 3 milhões de eleitores brancos se aprovavam o caminho que ele estava a seguir. Mais de 2/3 votaram sim. Mandela, pelo seu lado, tinha consciência do fosso que agora o separava da mulher, Winnie. Ele procurava um compromisso. Ela era mais radical. Em abril, anunciou que iam separar-se. A 17 de junho de 1992, Zulus do Partido da Liberdade Inkatha saíram das suas casernas e dirigiram-se para o township de Boipatong, perto de Joanesburgo, onde massacraram apoiantes do ANC. 45 novos nomes foram acrescentados à lista dos milhares de vítimas de violência na comunidade negra. As repercussões foram dramáticas. Exasperado, Mandela teve uma reação virulenta.
At that point in time, the administration of de Klerk was the only body that had the capacity and the power, and the command was there to disarm those people and therefore to prevent that from happening. Even when that attack was going to happen, intelligence would have reported that there's a pile-up of stocks of arms there, and that there were people that were there in numbers to go and do that.
I think the ANC probably knew very well that the government wasn't involved. But Mandela made a speech saying de Klerk's hands were dripping with blood, and he used this as a pretext to break off negotiations.
I can no longer explain to our people why we continue to talk to a government, to a regime which is murdering our people. We are men of peace, but when we are provoked, we can fight back.
He alleged at that stage, on behalf of the ANC, that this was an example of government forces that were utilized. And that point has never been proved, not even in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But, you know, the typical thing that happens in a situation like this is that, of course, the political opponents at the negotiating table try to score points against each other.
It was that saw Mandela break off the negotiation. It became frozen. We launched in that period, almost immediately, a call for rolling mass action, so to revive and get to a very high level the activity of the masses in marches, demonstrations, protests.
No início de agosto de 1992 foi lançada uma campanha de greves e manifestações. O braço de ferro culminou a 5 de agosto com a Marcha sobre Pretória, a capital política do país. Perante milhares de apoiantes, Mandela foi desafiar abertamente de Klerk sob as janelas dos Union Buildings, a sede oficial do governo.
The ending of violence, the immediate installation of an interim government, and free and fair elections for a constituent assembly. These three demands constitute the core of the demands we have submitted to the government. Unless they are met satisfactorily by the government, negotiations cannot and will not resume. Viva peace! Viva democracy!
O ANC manteve a pressão. Mandela e de Klerk já não se falavam. Mas em segredo os seus representantes prosseguiam as discussões sobre o futuro da África do Sul. Um outro massacre, que desta vez não envolveu os Zulus do Inkatha, obrigou os dois homens a reatar oficialmente as negociações. A 7 de setembro de 1992, em Bisho, uma pequena localidade na zona de Ciskei, 70 mil apoiantes do ANC manifestaram-se contra um chefe militar local, apoiado pelo governo. As forças de segurança abriram fogo, matando 29 pessoas e ferindo centenas de outras.
It led to a further advance overall because out of the Bishu issue came a meeting between our officials and de Klerk's and the decision to carry on and resume with the negotiations.
If you say the talks have broken down, then people go back to their arms. They take up arms. And you don't want that after the period of time that we had already made progress. And that was Nelson's position.
Procurando desesperadamente um acordo, de Klerk capitulou e cedeu às exigências de Mandela. Em setembro de 1992 foram determinados os princípios subjacentes à futura Constituição. Seria um sistema por maioria. A minoria branca não teria veto, nem qualquer proteção especial. Foi marcada a data para as primeiras eleições multirraciais e democráticas, 27 de abril de 1994. Assim foram dois rivais eleitorais que se apresentaram em Oslo em dezembro de 1993 para receber o Prémio Nobel da Paz. Na Noruega, ambos os homens tentaram dar uma boa imagem, mas de Klerk mal conseguia ocultar a sua frustração.
I think the decision of the Nobel Peace Laureate Committee was a very courageous decision. The award to Mr. Mandela was a popular one. The award to me was a controversial award because people said, but I have practiced apartheid in the past. I had no problem with Mr. Mandela receiving it. At times it appeared as if he and the ANC did not like very much the fact that it was also awarded to me.
I know that there were people that felt Nelson should not have shared with him. I think that would have been a terrible mistake. Their contribution through the Nobel Peace Prize was their contribution to say, we congratulate you, the people of South Africa. You fought amongst each other. But in the course of that fight, you learned to appreciate each other's humanity.
Depois da cerimónia, os dois rivais compareceram a uma recepção oficial.
You needn't drink it, just keep it.
Aproveitando-se da ausência de microfones durante o discurso, Mandela deu largas à sua frustração.
He let loose, and he then went through at the top of his voice at the catalogue of the oppression of the black people, some of them even in bad taste, to be repeated. And he would say, this is what you did, was that a mistake? This is what you did, was that a mistake? This is what you and your police force did, was that a mistake? Which was an outrageous accusation in the opinion of Mr. Pickwater and obviously Mr. de Klerk.
Mandela was irritated by this man from the apartheid regime, the people who put him in jail, the people who oppressed his own people for so long, trying to say, I ended apartheid, praise me. De Klerk felt that he did not get enough credit for ending apartheid. And he wanted to be on the international stage. He wanted to be the big historical figure. But here was Mandela. He was the biggest icon in the world. So the two perspectives and the two egos really clashed.
It was also difficult because there was a very strong anti-apartheid lobby in Norway who didn't want him to get the prize at all. And at one stage, he and Mandela went out onto a balcony of the hotel in the main road of Oslo, and the Norwegians who were supposed to be having a torchlight parade booed de Klerk and they cheered Mandela. So it was a bit humiliating for de Klerk.
De regresso à África do Sul, a campanha para as eleições presidenciais revelou-se muito tensa. Os Zulus do Inkatha ameaçavam não participar na votação e os confrontos eram frequentes, mesmo no centro de Joanesburgo. Poucos dias antes da votação, os dois candidatos enfrentaram-se num debate histórico transmitido pela televisão.
As the world focuses on South Africa, we bring you the debate, Mandela and de Klerk face to face.
We have got a plan to build a better life for all South Africans. And a better life means houses, jobs, free quality education, hospital services. We believe that these are realizable.
The ANC's policy is riddled with that which has failed. It is riddled still with clinging to nationalization. You won't get investments as long as that is the case.
This is the reply of a man who is not used to addressing the basic needs of the majority of the population, whose government is committed to a small minority. He is alarmed that we have to devote so much resources to blacks whose concerns they don't care for.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to give Mr. Mandela an opportunity?
Let us work together for reconciliation and nation building. I am proud to hold your hand for us to go forward together.
No dia das eleições, ninguém duvidava de que o ANC de Mandela sairia vencedor. A questão era se o partido obteria 2/3 dos votos. O resultado final foi indiscutível. 62% para o ANC e apenas 20% para o Partido Nacional.
I hold out my hand to Mr. Mandela in friendship and in cooperation. As far as my own position is concerned, I should like to make it clear that I believe that my political task is just beginning. Everything that we have done so far, the 4 years of difficult and often frustrating negotiations, the problem and the crises, have been simply a preparation for the work that lies ahead. Thank you.
A 10 de maio de 1994, após 4 anos de amargas negociações e mais de 14 mil mortos, Nelson Mandela tornou-se presidente da África do Sul. Tinha 75 anos de idade.
I feel very confident about the future. I think it's a great day for South Africa. We're finally there. That which we have set out to achieve has been achieved.
De Klerk thought it was a glorious moment because it was peaceful, it was accepted by the world, the leaders of the world were there at their feet on that day. He saw it as the conclusion of his project that started in 1989.
Segundo as condições de um acordo assinado em 1993, Mandela chefiava um governo de unidade nacional, assistido por 2 vice-presidentes, Thabo Mbeki, um dos seus homens de mão, e Frederick de Klerk.
So help my die drie-enige God, Vader, Seun en Heilige Gees.
I, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, do hereby swear to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa. So help me God.
Era o início de uma nova era. O apartheid foi ultrapassado. O último presidente branco assistiu à entronização do primeiro presidente negro da África do Sul.
My overwhelming sense was a feeling of accomplishment. Yes, I had questions and I still have it in my mind, whether we will be able to stay on the right path. There are threats and there are always dangers that even if you reach a good agreement, that in the implementation of the agreement, things can go wrong. But my general sense was one of this is a good day for South Africa.
Todos os partidos com mais de 20 deputados estavam representados no Governo de Unidade Nacional, cuja duração estabelecida era de 5 anos. A coligação que tornou posse era única no mundo. Um gabinete onde o antigo presidente servia às ordens do seu sucessor, ambos à cabeça de partidos irreconciliáveis.
President Mandela never chaired the cabinet. Mbeki, the other deputy president, and I chaired the cabinet on a rotational basis. It was a good experience. I realized, and the ANC realized, that they needed to gain experience in governance. They've been a liberation movement. They've been agitators. They've been fighting. They've been fighters in the field. They didn't know how to deal with the civil service.
He possibly thought that his presence in the government of national unity will give him the authority to teach the newcomers how to do things. Whereas he ought to have understood that he was also a newcomer into a situation that was new to everybody. There were moments when I could see Mr. Mandela getting frustrated.
There was almost an accusation against de Klerk that he was still, or what, he was racialistic in his behavior, that he looked down on black people, which is not true. Not at that stage, certainly not.
A unidade desintegrou-se rapidamente. As altercações entre Mandela e de Klerk tornaram-se públicas.
In fact, it is an impossible relationship to serve as on the same board as your successor. It doesn't matter where it is, whether it's a country or board of a company. If the previous chairman is on the board with the new chairman, there's always going to be tension.
Em janeiro de 1995, uma discussão violenta durante uma reunião governamental obrigou de Klerk e Mandela a encenar uma reconciliação pública para a comunicação social.
The main focus of our discussion was our personal working relationship. Our discussion was frank, and we dealt in some detail with all the issues which caused the recent confrontation between us.
We did not ask for an apology. We asked for the recognition of our good faith, our honesty, and our integrity. In the process of the confrontation, also my confidence in the president was shaken. And our talk this morning achieved also the restoration of that confidence. Oh, he's shaking. Oh, you want movement on the TV.
After about 18 months, the ANC started to feel they've had enough of a learning experience now. And then they started to try and silence me, because I was not only an executive deputy president, I was also the political leader of the main political opposition party. And they were trying to say, I cannot in public criticize decisions with which I disagreed in the cabinet because I'm an executive deputy president. That was part of the problem, which 6 months later, after 2 years, brought me to the decision with my party to withdraw from the government of national unity.
I think that de Klerk and his group were feeling that they were losing too much support from the white constituency, and that if they remained in government with the ANC, they would continue to lose all that support.
Again, I think de Klerk's ego came in the way. That and his personal circumstances. And we sometimes talk about politicians and forget that they're ordinary human beings. De Klerk had then fallen in love and married a new young woman, a beautiful woman that he was very much in love with. He lost his appetite for dirty politics, for hard politics. And instead of leaving his party inside and go and retire with lovely Elita, he took them all out.
De Klerk e o seu partido deixaram o governo em junho de 1996, pouco depois da adoção da nova Constituição do país. O próprio Mandela abandonou a política em 1999, abdicando a favor de Thabo Mbeki. Em apenas 6 anos de duelo renhido, os dois homens tinham mudado radicalmente o rumo da história do seu país. unindo para sempre os seus destinos. Continuaram a ver-se, longe da agitação política, como em 2006 no Hotel da Cidade do Cabo, no 70º aniversário de Frederick de Klerk.
Once they had retired, they knew that the two of them played a special role in history. And they never became friends. But on the one or two occasions, public occasions, they said nice things about each other.
In politics, this happens. It happens in marriages as well, where you have divorces and then later on you become a bit more mature. You're able to come back and you might not be in love. But if you find a friendship again, you've been through thick and thin. So in politics, in struggle, we see this all the time. And it happened very much with Mandela and de Klerk.
We did share and jointly participate in moments that, in all humility on our parts, might have helped to shape our country, our continent, and in modest ways, the world. I had occasion in the past to say that our country does not sufficiently acknowledge the crucial role that F.W. de Klerk played in bringing us to where we are today.
President Mandela made a wonderful short speech at a function for our friends and family. I was deeply touched by the recognition he gave to my contribution to help to bring peace to South Africa. I was deeply touched by the personal warmth which he extended to me. I even cried a little bit, if I can remember well.